Hello Pisces and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a reading for February 2023, looking at your recent, past, your current energy, and your immediate future. As always, I've gone ahead and pulled the oracle cards and clarified those. I've already pulled the overall energy for the reading. I do that so that we can dive straight in. All right, let's start by looking at your recent past. You have the Nine of Swords with Think It Through. This is about dealing with some sort of anxiety about a situation. And I feel like in the past, you've had a tendency to let your anxiety, your fears, your perception of a situation run away with you as opposed to thinking it through. Now, remember, the first way that we view a situation is typically through the lens of our fear. So this is kind of the universe saying, and this is your recent past, but I feel like you're still dealing with it. I feel like this is an ongoing situation for you, that some sort of fears, anxiety comes up about something and you have a tendency to act on that as opposed to process it first. Supernatural, super common, but I do feel like this has caused some issues for you in the past. So let's see, because the overall energy for the reading is awareness with deja vu. And so the way that I'm seeing this is like a situation where you basically can say, I feel like I've been here before. I feel like I've experienced this before. Just checking to make sure that was on. Sometimes I forget to turn it on and I have to redo reads. And I feel like this is about using your awareness, both self-awareness and awareness of a situation, and possibly even awareness of the way your past situations have played out, to change the outcome of this in particular, this situation in particular. Because your current energy is know you are loved with the Five of Swords in reverse. So, the first thing that I think of every time I pull this card, the Know You Are Loved card, is in my therapist's office. There's a sign hanging and it just says, you are loved. And for some reason, that sign just always brings me so much like a sense of peace, because oftentimes when we're struggling, it's like knowing you're loved by something bigger than you. And I'm not talking about, yes, of course, you are loved by your friends and your family and the people that you have relationships with, but that's not even what I'm talking about. Like, this to me is knowing that you are taken care of, like, by the universe, like knowing that the universe has your back and the universe is here to protect you. Even if you don't really understand how it might be doing it at the time, because I really feel like this is letting go, of this me against the world mentality, believing that the world is out to get you. Now, you might believe that because that's what you've experienced. However, remember that our beliefs are the root of our results. Now, your belief system is not your fault. The reason that you believe the way you do is a product of your experiences, from what you've experienced through childhood and relationships to this point. So please don't think I'm saying what's happened to you has been your fault, because that's not at all what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that your belief system is the root of what you experience in this world, per the law of attraction, per psychology, however you want to look at it. And so this is about changing the way that you tend to react to situations by first processing it through the lens of the universe has my back, and using that awareness to essentially break cycles. Because then in your immediate future, you have Speak Your World into Being with the Two of Cups. When I see this Speak Your World into Being card, the first thing I always think of is how much power our words have. If you walk around saying, I'm so broke, or I'm so alone, or, everyone always leaves, or whatever the case is, whatever you're speaking, you are speaking into existence. And that was one of the hardest things for me when I first kind of started this spiritual journey, was having to catch, like, when you start paying attention to the words you say, you start realizing, oh my gosh, like, I'm speaking a lot of the things that I worry about into existence. And so this is, kind of, because the Two of Cups is, finding that balance within that is then reflected without. So if you're looking for love externally, it's finding that love within. Every relationship that we have with another person is insight to a relationship that we have with ourselves. So it comes down to focusing on your inner world and realizing that is what is your awareness, is what is creating your environment. All right, Pisces, let's start by looking at your recent past. We have Think It Through with the Nine of Swords. So definitely dealing with some stress, anxiety, frustration, lack, whatever the case might be. Maybe all of the above. Reset pass for Pisces, clarifying think it through with the 9 of Swords. Oh my goodness, Pisces. Yeah, this is a lot of overthinking. I'm not trying to laugh at this, like at you. Please don't think that. I'm just like, my goodness, you guys are dealing with a lot because you have the 7 of Cups with this 2 of Wands in reverse. This energy already right here is enough to knock somebody off their feet because that's overwhelming. That's already an overwhelming energy. And then allowing yourself to get to almost play into that with the overthinking. Now, that is one of the hardest cycles to break is overthinking, right? But what typically happens when you're in that state, when you feel emotionally overwhelmed, when you feel triggered, when you feel heightened, if you allow yourself to spiral, you will start thinking of every single worst case scenario possible. And that's just the way that things go. And it's almost like you get yourself into like a it's like almost like a tornado of like, well, what if this happens, or what if this is happening, or like almost like you throw yourself into fight or flight, and there's then your body, it doesn't know the difference between danger that's happening in your real world and danger that's happening in your mind, so you put yourself into fight or flight, and that then makes it even harder to sort through what you're dealing with a clear head. And so this is kind of what this reading is about, is to take your awareness of your emotional world, of your spiritual world, of your physical world, and almost find a balance between all of them so you can say, okay, just because I'm experiencing a trigger, just because I'm experiencing a situation that is very out of my control, that does not mean I have to freak out. Now, trust me, I get it. But this is a cycle for you guys, and you have a tendency of getting yourself, and you might find yourself like you have this time where you're really freaking out emotionally and all of this stuff's going on and you act on it, or you freak out at your partner, or whatever the case might be, and then you kind of calm down, possibly a couple hours or even a day or two later, and you go, whoa. Whoa, I might have overreacted. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that you are overreacting, because your emotions, your experiences, they're all very valid. So that's not what I'm sitting here saying. But with the think it through and the 9 of Swords, there's this need to process what you're feeling before you allow it to impact your environment. Now, that is a lesson that every single person on this planet, including myself, could probably never get enough of. So I understand what you're dealing with, and I understand that it's hard. I mean, when you're in that like chaos spiral of fear and anxiety and anger, whatever the case might be, it's hard. It's hard to pause and step out of the trigger and try to see things from a bigger perspective. But being able to do that is like true emotional strength. Um, and with this awareness and deja vu card, it's almost like thinking like, okay, I've been here before. How did I react last time? And did that turn out the way that I wanted? Okay, no, then how should I react this time so that it does turn out the way that I want? Recent past for Pisces. Now, this is your recent past. I do feel like this is in the past. Yeah, but my goodness. This is an energy of fearing loss. So you've experienced loss. You've experienced a lot of loss. A lot of rug being ripped out from underneath your feet kind of energy. Relationships change without you kind of feeling like you have a warning. Like whatever that case might be, it just feels like you're always kind of blindsided, I think is a good way to say that. You've been blindsided a lot. But that doesn't mean that it has to continue to happen. And I feel like that's the biggest like point of this reading that I'm trying to make, is just because you've experienced loss and devastation and frustration and everything, that does not mean you have to continue to expect that. And that's why you, in your current energy, this is letting go of that me against the world mentality. This I have to protect myself or prepare for worst case scenarios or always be on my toes because who knows, what could happen. And the fact of the matter is no one knows what can happen. And no matter how many worst case scenarios you sit there and think yourself through, you're never going to be prepared for what does actually happen. And most likely it's not going to be as bad as anything that you're fearing anyway, right? So that's a lot of emotional energy that gets wasted on what ifs. Now I feel like I'm like freaking like I'm not saying this in my reading, but I can tell you that in terms of dealing with that specific aspect, I get it. And it's been probably the hardest lesson for me on this journey, is to learn to be the observer of my thoughts and my emotions as opposed to attaching to them and identifying with them. Recent past for Pisces, because emotions come in waves, and they'll sweep you off your feet for a second, but they will eventually wash back out into the ocean. Everything that you feel, every fear, it does not last forever. And learning to get yourself through those without needing, validation from your world. Now, of course, you can lean on other people to get you through it. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but the more that you can learn to get yourself through it without needing the validation of, someone validating your feelings, the better and more free you will feel. Now, that does not mean your emotions aren't valid. That means that you need to know that they are valid regardless of what anyone else thinks or feels. It kind of goes back to that, like, actually, no, I'm not going to go there. That doesn't really feel like very much in alignment with this reading. I'm just going to keep going. All right, recent past for Pisces, please. I'm in a good mood today. I've had a couple rough days, but I'm in a good mood today. Queen of Wands in reverse. Oh my. Okay. This is what I like to call my fit throwing card. Do not think that I'm saying you're a child or you're throwing a fit or anything to that extent. But so when I do pull cards for myself, which I don't very often, but when I do, it's usually at a time that I'm experiencing this energy, which usually means that it's the universe's way of saying you are triggered and you need to chill out kind of way. Instead of, me being like, oh my gosh, like everything is, my whole world is crashing down. Like, it's like that idea of like, don't let a bad situation or a bad experience make for a bad day, or don't let a bad day make for a bad life. Like, when you're feeling triggered and you're feeling like down, the best thing you can do for yourself is remind yourself, I'm going to turn this off, is remind yourself that you are triggered. Like, find the awareness, right? Like, have the awareness of being like, okay, I am just experiencing a trigger. I'm just experiencing this emotion. This emotion is not real. It's not telling me a truth about my environment. It's valid. I'm very valid in the way I feel, but I don't have to believe it. I don't have to believe that my emotions are telling me a truth. If I feel hurt, of course, I am able to feel hurt, but that does not mean that I've lost anything. It does not mean that I've, because what's meant for us won't pass us. Now, getting to that level of equanimity essentially is what it is really freaking hard. And I'm not saying that this is what is going to happen overnight, but you have been dealing with a lot of this overwhelming, intense emotion that I feel like has had a tendency to run away with you a little bit. And in your current energy, it's almost like reminding yourself that the universe does have your back and that the universe is always providing you with the support you need in divine time. Now, oftentimes we have to deal with this energy before we start to see solutions. And that's just our fear getting in our way. But in your current energy, I feel like this is reminding yourself, like regrounding yourself almost. Current energy here for Pisces. Yeah, because my goodness. What you need to understand is that disappointment that you've experienced, loss, frustration, everything that you've dealt with to this point, it's trying to lead you to a new beginning. And this new beginning is a hell of a lot better than this. But remember, our beliefs are the root of our results. And so if you believe that you're constantly going to be faced with this, it's like expecting this almost. And then you expect it to the extent where you almost create it for yourself. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of ordeal. And that's the cycle you're trying to break here. You expect disappointment, so it's almost like you create it. current energy for Pisces. And that now, oh, I feel like I just had someone go, I did not create the situation that happened to me. Okay, please, I'm not saying, I get these comments all the time. I am not saying that what has happened to you is your fault. Not the case. Because our belief system, like I said, is a root or is a result of what we've experienced. What we've experienced is what we've internalized as beliefs. But that's why a healing journey is so vitally important, because remember that 95% of our movements, choices, decisions, actions, interaction with this world is subconscious. We only have 5% of our response to our reality is conscious. And so we have to use that 5% to retrain the 95% of us to not expect disappointment or expect failure or expect love to fall apart, whatever the case is, and make sure that we retrain it to remind us that our beliefs are the root of our results, and what we believe is what we're going to experience. So we use our conscious power to retrain ourselves to think in alignment with where we want to go as opposed to where we've been. Current energy for Pisces. And also, just throwing it out there, remember this is a general reading. It's not going to resonate fully for everyone. Okay. You know, so when I pull cards, the way it lands, it doesn't really matter for me. It's intuitively if it's right side up or upside down. And what I'm saying is this definitely is like a you deserve better kind of situation. And it's true. You do. You absolutely do deserve better than this. I mean, anyone does, right? But I feel like the hardest truth here that I feel like a lot of you don't want to hear, and to be honest, I didn't want to hear on my journey either, is that it is up to you to recreate, or not to recreate, but to create better experiences. And that happens by healing. And that happens by learning to face your triggers and your anxiety and your frustration and your emotion without acting on it. And the way that I always say that is like before you speak, before you react, it's like responding rather than react, right? But before you decide to put some sort of energy into this world, wait until the wave passes. Wait until you have a clear mind again. Wait until you are in a spot where you can see clearly. And sometimes it might take a couple of days. And that's where boundaries are really important, right? I'm not ready to have a conversation yet. I really need to, I need to process this. I'm not in a place, I'm not in a place to be able to talk about this. I'm, whatever the case is, whatever you're needing, to be able to say, I need to take care of myself first. And I need to make sure that I don't let this wave that I'm experiencing affect every aspect of my life. Because it's really easy for it to spill out into every aspect of your life if you let it. Current energy for Pisces. Current energy for Pisces, please. You've got to understand that you're a different person now than you were here, than you were experiencing this energy. The loss, the blindsidedness, all that. You're a different person now. You've healed. Or if you haven't fully healed, which honestly I don't believe we ever fully heal. I believe life, healing is a lifelong journey, but you've been healing and you've made some personal transformations and you've gained some awareness and you've learned some lessons. Therefore, your experiences are going to be different because you now have new lessons to learn. So you can expect better experiences. You can expect different experiences. You don't have to expect this. This version of you had to experience what they went through to turn into this version of you. And this version of you will have to face whatever is coming for you next for the next version of you. I'm not saying it's anything bad. I'm just saying that's life, right? There's one of my favorite images is this up and down line, and it says, this will change, this will change, this will change, this will change. Nothing's temporary. We're never going to be riding a high forever, and we're never going to be, every time that we're low and experiencing those kinds of emotions, we're not going to be in that forever either. Now, I will say that before you heal, it's extreme highs and extreme lows. It's up and down, up and down, and up and down. And as you heal, that gap starts to close. And it's not that your highs aren't as great, it's that they're a little bit more peaceful. It's that they're a little bit more, you appreciate them more, but then the crashes aren't as high or aren't as hard because your lows are just a little bit of an offset of the highs that you experience. And eventually you kind of get to a situation where it's like you're pretty good, you're pretty stable at times. Sure, you have some dips every now and then, but you're pretty good most of the time. And that's kind of it, like widens, it takes this up and down and it stretches it. So it goes from these big up and downs to kind of just like, highs and lows that allows you to kind of just go with the flow a little bit more. You don't always have to fear the lows, but you're also not living for the highs. And I feel like that's kind of what you are experiencing. But know that you're loved. Know the universe has your back. Know that the universe wants you to feel supported and taken care of and loved and be in a loving, healthy relationship and have the financial abundance you deserve. That's what the universe wants for you. It's our fear and our expectations that get in our own way. And so this is kind of you, honestly, Pisces, getting out of your own way. And it's a pretty beautiful reading because that's a really hard thing to do. Immediate future for Pisces. I'm going to have to shuffle these. Immediate future for Pisces is clarifying the speak your world into being with the Two of Cups. And maybe that's where there's this need to be a little bit more conscious of the way that you are, speaking when you're having conversations with friends or even moments where you're frustrated, if you're saying, of course, or like, this always happens to me, or like, watch those little things because that'll give you insight into your expectations and into what you believe about your reality. Immediate future for Pisces, clarifying, speak your world into being. Okay. You are in the process, whether you consciously know it or not, of manifesting the life that you want. We're always manifesting. Whether we're consciously involved in the process is beside the point. We're always manifesting because the energy we put out into the world, be it that 5%, that 90, that 100% of us, but 95% of that being kind of the majority, it creates our reality. So we actually manifest by healing. And as we heal and retrain ourselves to believe different things about ourselves and the world around us, we are actively changing our experiences. You have a tendency to experience yourself getting kind of burnt out. I feel like you get to a point where you're like, why hasn't this happened yet? Why am I not here yet? Why am I not there yet? Why am I always waiting on the next thing? Well, because you're always waiting on the next thing. And that is actually what put me on this journey. What put me on a spiritual journey, I was a financial advisor in a past life. I was driving to work one day and I just had this meltdown and I was like, is this my life forever? Am I always just going to be chasing the next client, the next paycheck, the next, title, the next success essentially? And that was kind of this loop I had gotten myself in. Was I had learned to live for the chase, to live for the next thing. And my future was always when things were going to be fine. And I remember I was sitting there with one of my clients at the time when I was a financial advisor, and they had just gotten into retirement, like a couple of years. They were a couple of years into retirement, and they were sitting there saying, I cannot believe I wasted my life thinking that I was going to be happy when I got to retirement. And that was really eye-opening because that's what we're told, right? You can have good experiences when you get there. Like you can relax when you get there. Everything will be good once you build there, once you get there, once you reach the destination. But the thing is life doesn't have a destination. And I know that we're getting kind of deep, but like, life doesn't have a destination. There's no point you're going to get to where you're like, yes, I have made it. Because no matter what, if you are living for the next thing, you will always find yourself needing something else to strive for, to want, to work for in order to feel fulfilled. And that's not fulfillment, that's the chase. That's the chase of life. And so you have to get to a point where you pull yourself back to the present moment and you focus on your gratitude for where you're at. And don't burn yourself out trying to get to the next phase in your life because you will never stop trying to get to the next phase in your life. And so your immediate future is about bringing your awareness to that and understanding that you are here now and happiness exists in this present moment and you deserve to be happy today. No matter what your experiences look like, you deserve to be happy today. And the way that you put energy into gratitude and joy is how you create better experiences. It's as within so without, as above so below. We create our external environment through our internal world. And it's really important, like journaling comes to mind. So I actually set a rule with myself on journaling that I actually will not write any negative experiences down. I will not write anything negative about my experiences whenever I am in a heightened emotional state. I will write a gratitude list. I'll write, affirmation statements. I am, I will, I deserve, whatever the case is. And maybe I'll write about what trigger I'm experiencing from a very unbiased point of view, from an observer point of view. But I will not write, oh my gosh, my life sucks so bad. I can't believe I'm dealing with this. I'm so frustrated. This sucks so much. Because all I am doing is affirming that aspect of my life, that an aspect of my life sucks. I'm affirming my victimhood, and that is creating more of that whenever I do that. And so with the speak your world into being, it goes in all forms of communication with your environment. Try to keep your words positive as much as you can, right? Immediate future, well, that's entirely too many. Immediate future for Pisces. So this is about using your awareness to create better. There's the healing. Because you're healing your control. You're healing your control. We control our environment when we believe the universe doesn't have our back. When we believe that we have to fight, claw, nail and tooth for whatever we want. I think that makes sense. Nail, tooth and nail. This goes back to the you are loved. Know the universe has your back. Know that you are actively creating the life that you want. And it's not about when you get there, it's that you're already there. You're already there. You're already living your life. You don't want to wait to live your life for when you get there. Getting out of your own way, Pisces. I like it. Immediate future. Immediate future for Pisces. Look at that. Dropping the burden of this cycle. This is a cycle that has, wow, it's affected your life a lot. And honestly, I'm going to be if the Pisces, or if you're still watching this reading, then you're here for a reason. This is breaking a cycle of self-sabotage. This is breaking a cycle of self-sabotage. And that is really freaking cool. That is a cool place to be, because we get in our own way, right? Getting out of your own way is getting out of your tendency to kind of sabotage with your reaction to your reality as opposed to your response to it. And honestly, like this type of reading is what everyone should strive for. This is real healing. This is real spiritual growth. Like it will reflect into your external environment. It will reflect into your circumstances. I promise you. So if you are a Pisces who's reading this is resonating for, congratulations, because you have worked really hard to get here, and you deserve the abundance that you're creating by creating it within you first. All right, we're going to hop on over to the extended. I'm going to clarify these messages, ultimately just start to pull some more advice. I have an actual advice from the divine to pull at the end. Thank you guys so much as always for the support of my channel. It means the absolute world to me. I'm so blessed to have a career that I look forward to doing every day. So thank you guys. I wish you absolutely nothing but love and healing on your journeys. Bye, Pisces.